Welcome to another episode of We Understood That Reference. Today we're talking conventions. Of course, San Diego Comic-Con is the big one, but there's plenty of others. And this year, because of coronavirus, a lot of things are going virtual. I'm Clayburn.
And I'm Nikhil.
So I actually went to Comic-Con once, New York Comic-Con, not San Diego, back in 2012. It's the only time I think that I've ever gone to Comic-Con. And, since it was here in New York, it was pretty easy. I think that's one of the big advantages of being here in New York. If I lived in San Diego, I'm sure I would go to that one probably every year. In New York, it's not too hard to go over to the Javits Center and check out Comic-Con. Have you gone to any Comic-Cons?
I have, yeah. We should have gone together. I went last year and I went the year before, so 2018 and 2019.
Yeah.
To the New York Comic-Con. And then when I was younger, I went to the Wizard World comic book convention in Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Something that I never really realized until recently was, all these Comic-Cons, they're actually different organizations. I always assumed that Comic-Con, was a thing, just its own thing, Comic-Con, and they put it on in San Diego and they put it on in New York and basically every other town that had a Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. It was all like part of the same organization, but apparently each of these are their own, organization that puts it on. The San Diego one's actually a nonprofit organization, but the New York one is a for-profit organization, and it started back in 2006.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
The current version of the New York Comic-Con. Before that, there have been different conventions in New York before that. In fact, I think what I found was the first official Comic-Con was in New York in 1964.
Wow.
Of course, that isn't the same one that's happening now, and I don't really know what makes it official, because there had been probably like fan gatherings before. Comic books have been a thing for a long time, and people have been celebrating them. But this 1964 one is claimed to be the first official one, and over 100 people attended.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, of course now San Diego Comic-Con. I think the attendees are about 160,000 is what it looked like.
The last couple of years, I went to the New York Comic Book Convention, and it was packed. It was just like wall to wall people.
So, what about the first time you had gone? What was that experience like?
I think the first time is like the best. So like the first time at the New York Convention, or the first time ever.
First time ever.
First time ever. Yeah. It was cool. It was really, really cool. I must have been maybe how old was I? I must have been maybe 16.
Yeah.
I think I was in high school, and we went to the Wizard World comic book convention, got to meet some of the creators. At that point, I had probably been reading comic books for like 4 or 5 years, and so I got to meet some of the people who had written some of my favorite books, and some of the artists, got some stuff signed. It was really cool.
Yeah, and so one thing about me is I'm not into comics. I watch the movies and know a lot of. I enjoy a lot of, I guess, what you could call nerd culture, and I think that was one of the big surprising things when I went to Comic-Con was sort of how little the comic side of things really mattered. Which Comic-Con itself, I guess, and I don't know about San Diego, but certainly New York and probably San Diego to some extent. I feel like they've kind of left the comic origins behind a bit, mm-hmm. and they're more what they call multi-genre entertainment, which is this all-encompassing thing, because you get a lot of video games and movies, just any kind of pop culture type stuff. Of course, like Star Wars was really big there, which I'm sure Star Wars probably has comics, but not originated as a comic. So going there, I was expecting a lot more emphasis on comics, and in reality it was a lot more probably the most popular things there were really probably things out of movies, which certainly included movies based on comics, but things like Star Wars and other things like that were as popular, if not more popular than comic stuff.
Oh right. And it always wasn't that way. When I went in 2018 to the New York Comic Con, mm-hmm. I totally agree with you. Like, that's how it was. And like, that was a shock for me, because when I went to comic book conventions earlier, like the Wizard World convention, I went in 2000, 2001, 2002, and 2003. And then I didn't go again until 2018. So there's a big 15-year gap.
Yeah.
And in the earlier ones, comic books were really the focus of the convention. The artists and the writers were on the main floor, and at New York Comic Con at the Javits Center, all of like the artists and the writers were like in the basement.
Yeah, they really like pushed them off to the side. I remember like going, and it was I walk in and it's like, wow, everything's so cool. There's huge booths with all this cool stuff going on and everything, and signage and everything. And then you like walk through a door off to the right, like looking for the bathrooms or something, and you step into this little sad area that's just lined with comic books. And you can buy comic books from people, and there's like, the artists there at the booth to sign things and stuff, and it's just like mostly empty, and nobody's over at those areas. And then of course, one of the big draws are the celebrity photos and signing that they do, and of course all the celebrities are people from television and movies,
Right.
And I actually got to meet Ian McDiarmid. I don't know how much I paid to stand in line and meet Ian McDiarmid, but he's awesome. The actor who played the Emperor on Star Wars. The spoiler, grandfather of Rey. And so that was cool. And actually, so I met him. You stand in line and you go through. And when I got in there, it was a bit awkward because he's standing there, and you come in and I want to say something like, I don't want to hold up the line or anything like that. Just it's very you go in, you get your picture taken, and you move on, and that's it. And so I walked in, and the first thing I said something was like, I said like, you're really awesome, or something like that. I don't know, just some generic compliment. But at the exact same time, he said, I really like your hat to me. And so we both like talked over each other. And then it was like, we both kind of like apologized for that at the same time. So it was just a really weird little awkward exchange. And then, we stand and take the picture.
Yeah.
And, got my picture taken with him. And that was my only real celebrity moment at Comic-Con.
Oh, that's awesome. Your 15 seconds of fame with the Emperor.
Yeah, I'll have to see if he remembers me.
Yeah.
If he's listening to this, maybe he'll tweet at us or something.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I was gonna say at my first convention, like the movies were just starting. Like I remember my first convention, there was like promotional material for like the first X-Men movie and the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
And it was like a big deal at the time because it was the first real time that these things were making the leap from page to the screen. That's another reason I think I really appreciate like all the comic book movies, is because when we were growing up, like they didn't exist and we always wanted them, and now that we get them, even though we get them like every couple of months, it's still like a big deal.
So obviously now, with the coronavirus, it seems this current Comic-Con season has been canceled pretty much.
Yeah.
But the San Diego one, it looks like they're going virtual.
They are.
So they're going to do some kind of virtual event. When is it? July next month, July 22nd.
Right.
Through the 26th, it sounds like. And my favorite bit of the announcement was they said that they're going to provide badges for fans to print at home so they can wear. So you get the full experience then, I guess, clipping the badge to yourself and sitting at home and watching, I guess, the webcam. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes and how it's presented. But ultimately, I think a big part of the fun of these things is really getting to go and interact with other fans, especially the fans that are dressing up and all the cosplay that happens. Even though they'll be able to recreate in virtually some of the things like panels and announcements from these big franchises, that's an element that's certainly going to be missing.
That's true. You could have like avatars in chat rooms.
Yeah. Did you dress up when you went?
No, I wore like like a Spider-Man t-shirt, but I didn't go in costume or anything.
Yeah, so you had your comic book memorabilia on and things you were representing, but not full on cosplay.
Right. Yeah, I had the merch.
Yeah, so I did the VIP pass when I went in 2012, and so that was like I don't remember how many days, 3 or 4 days of the Comic-Con.
Okay.
So I basically went to every one of those days, and I didn't dress up, for all of them. And in fact, I don't know if it really even counts to say I dressed up, but like I said, when Ian McDiarmid said that he liked my hat, I was wearing this like black, kind of like a fedora, more like an Outback hat, like a Crocodile Dundee type of hat or something.
Oh, okay.
And I just put together an outfit that looked like it could be something, but it really wasn't anything. I had some like holsters, some like plastic leg holsters for guns that I had gotten from like some Halloween out costume a long time ago or something. So I had those like wrapped around my jeans, and then I had like I said, the hat on, and I think I might have had some blasters or like some toy blasters or something. I don't remember if I took them or not because of the New York City rules about weapons and stuff. So I don't remember if I had taken them or not. But basically, like I looked like I was probably something, but I really wasn't. Like I just put together something that looked like it might be an outfit, and so as a result of that, I did get a lot of comments from people that were like, "Oh, you're that and they were trying to think, and then they're like, "Wait, what are you?"
Yeah.
And then I had to explain to them like, "Oh, I'm nothing."
I thought you were like some deep cut.
People thought I was some kind of obscure thing, and some people thought that they knew what it was. I did get a lot of like Van Helsing references, I think, and I'm not really sure what that is. I don't know Van Helsing very well, so. But it was basically that kind of I wore a bunch of black. I had the hat. I had the holsters around, and I don't really remember what all. But it was I just found what I had around the house basically that I could put together and look like some kind of what I was going for. I think was some kind of space bounty hunter type of thing. I guess it came close enough. Van Helsing, I think he's like a vampire hunter or something, right?
Yeah, the way you described it sounded like generic Han Solo.
Yeah, it was kind of Han Solo, but dark, because obviously he wears the vest, the white shirt and things, and mine was basically all black, and the hat as well. I had a black hat on, but it was fun. And then the other days, of course, I didn't dress up, and I don't really have a lot of relevant T-shirts or anything either. So I just kind of wore standard stuff, but it was fun. I did have like a Mario shirt that I wore once that had the ghost on it, the ghost from Mario, and says "Boo." So that was like the most. That was probably like the most nerdy T-shirt that I had that I wore to Comic-Con. And then other than that one, like I said, the sort of fake costume that I did.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah. So if you were to dress up, if you did cosplay, what do you think you would do?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know, because it's got to be something. Like I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so maybe I would get a Spider-Man costume and do that.
Yeah.
Totally fit in. But it also needs to be a little functional, which that is definitely not. Can you imagine riding the subway in that? That would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And what gets me, like a lot of these costumes, they have masks, and so it's it could be anything, especially like the Darth Vader. Every year, anywhere you go to Comic-Con or a Star Wars convention or whatever it might be, a Star Wars premiere, something like that, there's always the guy that shows up in a Darth Vader costume, which is weird because it's just basically you just bought the outfit and you're inside it. Nobody knows who you are or cares who you are. Mm-hmm. You're just this, generic Darth Vader person now.
True.
But then what's weird is like you actually have to be Darth Vader. Like at least me as my whatever Van Helsing or whatever it was, I wasn't acting like anything else. But when you go into that full like Spider-Man costume or Darth Vader costume, you're basically not yourself. You can't be yourself, right? You can't be Darth Vader walking around, eating a cheeseburger and being like, "Hey man, you want to go check out the Star Trek booth?" You have to act like Darth Vader. You have to walk around. You have to force choke people, and then of course, if Darth Vader force chokes you, you have to pretend you're being choked. Mm-hmm. So that's a very strange and to me kind of awkward piece of cosplay. But I'm sure it's part of the fun for a lot of people that go and do that, and especially the dressing up, and they like to act the part as well.
Oh, totally. And then this year with like coronavirus, having to wear a mask, you can have some fun with it and make it part of your costume.
Yeah, I mean, most of them already have masks, so you go as Bane or something, and you're already there.
Yeah, or the Winter Soldier, like the Winter Soldier in Captain America. The Winter Soldier kind of has that face mask. Like a lot of the people who wear like the black face masks kind of look like Winter Soldier, especially if they have like long black hair.
Yeah. So what was your favorite experience from like any of your Comic-Con outings?
So I think like meeting people, like so when I was younger, meeting the like the writers and the artists was really cool.
Yeah.
Getting stuff signed is really cool. Like your favorite book, getting it signed is awesome. More recently, like seeing all the cosplayers, and like people go like way, to the next level with some of these costumes. I saw like a functional Groot walking around.
Yeah.
And what else? I didn't pay to meet anybody in the last couple of years I went. That's actually a new thing. Like when we went to the conventions back in like 2001, like you just had to wait in a line for like an hour to meet someone. You didn't have to pay.
Yeah, it sucks now. They charge you.
Yeah.
And you have to stand in line. And that's why I only saw, one, because he's the Emperor. Like, and the Emperor is my favorite character from Star Wars. I don't know if that's still true with what happened in the latest movies, but yeah, I mean, he was just such a great character, and I was like, this is my only chance to meet the guy, so why not? And they had other people there. I think Lou Ferrigno was there, and some other people, and they were probably some that were pretty cheap, but still, it's like do I want to spend $20 and just go meet Lou Ferrigno?
Right.
And it's just like if I could stand in line and meet him for free, then maybe I would, but it's just weird to have to pay to go in and say to get a signature, and then of course the picture. And Ian McDermott was the picture, and I thought, well, that's even better than like just a signature, going and getting a picture with him. So that was cool.
Who are like 3 people you would pay like $150 to meet? Like in the comic book world.
In the comic book world, see, that's the thing, is like Ian McDermott is not even in the comic book world.
I mean, like someone who would show up to one of these things.
Well, I think one of them would be, and I wouldn't. I don't know if he would even charge, but someone like Michael J. Fox. I know there's a lot of Back to the Future type cosplay and stuff. I don't know how much that counts, but that's one of my favorite movies, and I think it would be cool to meet Michael J. Fox. I did, when I was there, I did get to meet, not really meet them, I saw them, but there was a booth kind of panel, and it wasn't like a panel where they were really far away. It was actually like a booth for the TV show Person of Interest.
Okay.
And the character from Lost, who plays Ben, that actor, I forget his name, I think it's like Michael Emerson maybe.
Okay.
He was there, and Amy Acker was there, and I'm a big fan of both of them. And they're just they're just actors from TV and I guess maybe movies. I don't know if any of them have been in movies, but they were there signing things. I think you had to maybe pay to get stuff signed, but they were there at a booth, so you could just like kind of walk by and see them and be pretty close, as opposed to like the panels where they're on stage and they're really far away. But I did get to watch like a Walking Dead panel, which was big at the time. Also got to see Terry Quinn or Terry O'Quinn. I don't remember if it's Terry Quinn or Terry O'Quinn, but he was the guy who played John Locke from Lost. He was there because of a TV show at the time called 666 Park Avenue, which was canceled, didn't really go anywhere. But he was in that, and that was another one that was pretty cool to. I didn't meet him, but I got to see him pretty close up there as he was in a booth. But yeah, I don't know. I think anybody from like the Marvel, the MCU universe, I think would be pretty cool now.
Yeah.
It'd be always cool to be able to say you met Thor or Tony Stark or something. Chris Pratt, I feel like would be, he feels like it might be cool to meet him, but also he seems kind of too big for anyone now, right? Like he's he's like probably one of the most famous people on earth, and he's head of so many franchises now. So like, I don't know, I feel like if I did meet him, it would be underwhelming, just because like, I can't imagine him caring at this point for fans. Although he's probably a nice guy, and maybe he does, but I just feel like Thor, whoever that is, Chris Hemsworth, would probably be a lot nicer in person and make you feel special, whereas Chris Pratt, I think he's got more important things to do.
Right, you have to meet him before they get too big, then they're
while they still have time for you.
Exactly.
What about you? Do you have anyone on your like wish list?
Like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and then the third one I'm not sure. Like Stan Lee would have been awesome. maybe Tobey Maguire, maybe Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, I think Tobey Maguire would probably be someone pretty cool to just talk with.
He'll probably talk to you now.
Yeah, especially now. He he doesn't have too much to do, right? But he also seems like just a nice, cool dude, right? Like he'd be someone that I would imagine I'd hang out with in college, back in my college years.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
One of my favorite experiences when I went, I don't know if you've ever seen this TV show Firefly.
Yeah, Joss Whedon, right?
Yeah, it was a big hit, not in terms of obviously ratings and stuff, but in terms of now people liking it. It's huge. Everyone loves Firefly, and everyone wanted Firefly to come back for years, and of course it never did, probably never will at this point. But they had a Firefly reunion panel that I got to go to, and so on that panel was what's her name? The woman that played the mechanic lady, State, I think, Julie State or Julia State, something like that. She was there, and this other guy, the guy that plays River's brother, was there, and I think maybe one or two other people. But of course, the star of Firefly is Nathan Fillion.
Oh yeah.
And he wasn't there, but he did this thing where he called in. So he called in on the phone. Okay. And so I started filming on my flip phone thing that I had. I started filming the panel as it was going, and he called in and he was talking to that guy that plays the brother. And you can hear him on the speaker, and he's saying, "Yeah, I'm really sorry. I couldn't make it, but I'm out here on the West Coast. It's just too hard to get out. I have a lot of things to shoot and busy and everything." And then he says something like, I don't remember the guy's name, Brad or Brian or something like that. And he's like, "Oh, by the way, Brad, that's a nice shirt you have on." And then it's like, "Hey, wait a minute." And he said, "Yeah, the blue's a nice color or something. The blue stripes, that's a good color." And then it's like, "Wait a minute, what? He's tricking us. He's here." And everyone starts freaking out. Everyone's looking around, and then they're like, "Where is he? Where is he?" And then he says on the cell phone, he says, "Nope, back here, over here." And then the guy on stage is looking around, and he's like, "Yep, over here. Yeah, you see me over here in the back? Yeah, right there, right up there." And so everybody turns around to look in the back corner. But me, I'm keeping my phone on the stage because I'm like, bullshit. I know Nathan Fillion. This is all part of the trick. And then sure enough, he walks out off the side of the stage while everyone's turned around. Yeah. Everyone's turned around trying to see him at the back of the room. Oh, awesome. And he's up on stage and just walks out. And it's just a crazy moment. And I actually got that entrance on film.
Dude, that's awesome.
Because I was, I didn't turn around. I didn't fall for it. And so I had uploaded it to YouTube, and it's probably one of my biggest videos on YouTube. I get thousands of views, tens of thousands of views on it. And that was, years and years ago, but that was a pretty cool moment.
That's so cool. Yeah, I was going to say you should totally put that on YouTube. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and he ran out, and then that woman, I forget, I wish I could remember her name. I know it's Julie or Julia or something. Anyway, she ran out and jumped on him basically whenever he walked out, and they gave a big hug, and it was fun to get to see just their chemistry again. Especially just Nathan Fillion in particular, because he's just such a very charismatic dude, and he was up there and hanging out with those guys again. So it was nice.
That's awesome. That's one of the things you can't really recreate in a virtual convention. Those kind of moments.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have some fun stuff planned though, so it will be fun to see what they end up doing. I gotta also show you, I guess, at some point if I can find my Comic-Con stuff. Show you what signatures I do have, because I did get some part of my VIP pass. I got access to some kind of special signing thing. Okay. And to get signatures from people who were basically comic book artists and writers or something. Oh, awesome. But I said, I don't know comic book stuff, so I have no idea who these people are, if it's cool to have their signature or not, But I think it was 8 or 9 people, something like that. Oh, that's awesome. And they sign, you bring them the program, and they have their names and pictures in the program, and so they go to where theirs is and sign it for you. And so I'll have to go through that someday and tell you whose signature I got, and you can let me know if it's cool or not.
Yeah, you should let me know. I know most of the names, so I could definitely tell you.
Yeah, maybe we can do a whole episode on reviewing our random comic book memorabilia.
Oh yeah, I have a big collection from about 1998 through 2008. So I have probably 1,000 comic books.
Yeah. How many
then
signatures do you think you have?
Signatures, maybe
unique signatures.
Maybe 50.
Yeah.
Or maybe more. It's but yeah, maybe people or books signed.
People. Yeah,
people.
How many unique people did you get signatures from, autographs?
Maybe 20.
Okay.
Give or take. No, it has to be less than 20. It's got to be maybe 10.
I have those 8 or so people.
Oh, okay.
And I don't even know who they are, so who knows if they matter or not. They're just the random 8 people that were assigned to the VIP special thing.
Oh, okay.
I will have to look at it sometime and see. So I guess you're planning to watch the virtual San Diego Comic-Con?
Yeah, I think so. If they have any good announcements, or if Marvel's doing a panel, or DC.
Yeah.
Well, actually, DC is doing their own thing. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah. Fandom.
Yeah. It's kind of modeled after Fortnite, who had a convention, a virtual convention.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of modeling it off of that, and they're going to have announcements for the sequel to Shazam, a Black Adam movie, updates on Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
They're going to have updates on all of the CW shows.
But does this mean that there's going to be sort of a letdown for the DC's participation in Comic-Con? Because Comic-Con's going to be a month before this, and they obviously can't go and undercut any of their announcements that they're planning for their own convention.
Yeah, so I don't think they're going to show up at Comic-Con, but honestly.
Not at all, or at least, throw us something. Give us
so.
Some CW announcements or something.
It's possible. It's possible you might get something, but most likely it'll be a skip.
Mm-hmm. So what big announcements do you think will come at the Comic-Con this year?
Oh, a Comic-Con this year? Well, it'll be interesting to see what Marvel does, because I think you're going to see a lot of Marvel Disney Plus announcements or promotion, because so the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to come out in August, and then production got halted because of coronavirus. So it's supposed to start back up soon, but whether or not they'll meet that August release date is yet to be determined. So we by Comic-Con would have an updated release date, probably some promotional stuff, maybe a trailer. I'm sure that Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie will show up. If the plan is to release that show this year, I'm sure you'll see a lot of promo for it at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, and I imagine it's kind of difficult to make announcements right now with so much still kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
Maybe, with Disney Plus and TV shows, it's a bit easier, but movies, everything's getting pushed back, productions are being halted and stuff, and you still don't really know when things will get back to normal.
Right. I think in some countries they're lifting the restrictions, so you can kind of get back to production.
Yeah.
With considerable precautions being taken.
Yeah, I heard that they're starting to shoot Jurassic World sequel,
nice.
I guess the third movie. That's resuming production. And really, I figure, they could just start off with the dinosaur scenes, because, they're extinct anyway. Who cares if they catch coronavirus?
I think they're immune.
Oh, yeah, maybe so, yeah. Their immune systems are so ancient that this stuff can't infect them anyway.
Yeah, they're going to replace us again.
Yeah, so just at least shoot the dinosaur scenes, and then next year film the humans.
Yeah.
I guess speaking of dinosaurs, one cool thing that I saw in 2012 was Iron Sky. I don't know if you had heard of that.
No, I haven't.
But I think there's been sequels that I haven't watched that I think include dinosaurs now. I have to catch up on my Iron Sky. But at the time, this movie came out called Iron Sky, or Iron Skies maybe. But it was basically, it's about Nazis on the moon. So the premise is that after World War II, when they were losing the war, that the Nazis all just retreated to the moon, where they had a secret moon base. And so they've been secretly living there, building up their army ever since. And then they invade now. And then this Sarah Palin type of caricature is president during that time. And
Sounds awful.
it's really, yeah, it's very much like a, I don't know, like a kind of a B movie type of thing. Like it's kind of meant to be almost stupid, and but it's still, it's hilarious, and the premise is great, and it was very entertaining, and they had a booth there, so I got to kind of go and see the Iron Sky stuff as well.
Oh, nice.
But I've heard that there's been like at least one sequel, possibly two, and I think they have like dinosaurs now. Is what I think I had heard. So now you have like Nazis riding dinosaurs.
Wow.
Yeah, but see, I haven't kept up with Comic-Con, so I don't know for sure. I gotta go back to another Comic-Con and see what's going on in the dinosaur riding Nazi world.
Well, one thing I'm curious about is like a lot of these virtual conventions are going to be like unlimited access, right? Because normally at like a Comic-Con, when someone's making an announcement, you have maybe a few thousand people in the room, and then everyone else is tweeting about it, and
and now everyone's just online watching it.
Exactly. So
and for free, right?
Yeah, for free. Yeah, you can't charge people to come look at your promotional material.
Yeah. You say that, but I actually paid like $30 for a Hank Green book tour, which is virtual. Mainly just to get the book, because, I'll get a signed copy of the book, which is fine. But his previous book tour, Grace and I went to, and then his brother, John Green, is also an author. And it's funny to say also an author, because he was an author before. He has been an author for a long time, and now his brother Hank is an author too, and this is his second book. And so we've gone to a couple of book tours of theirs, which is fun. They put on a whole event for you, and you also get a signed copy of the book and some other little things, stickers, or a program and whatever. So it's in a tote bag, so it's nice. But this year, it's virtual, and I signed up. But it was funny because usually when I sign up for these, I get the 2 tickets, one for me and one for Grace. And then I was signing up for this, and I'm like, I guess I just need 1 ticket, because she's gonna sit here on the couch, I guess, next to me, and we can watch it. But you don't have to buy a second ticket for that. And I don't know that there's any like exclusive content that's going to be unlocked, because I paid for it. I think literally it's just the book. But yeah, that doesn't stop people from charging for this stuff, though. There's plenty of online video and webinar type things that do charge money.
That's true. Yeah,
So I'm surprised. I'm surprised that they didn't. Obviously, like San Diego, I guess, being nonprofit is probably a big reason for that.
Oh, okay.
But like New York Comic-Con, that they would, if they did something, they would be charging you for access.
They'll charge you for anything.
Even though, that stuff would be immediately pirated. But still, there's going to be people that are going to have to pay. They're going to want to pay just so that they for sure get access and right away.
Right. But I think the DC one is free. Like the one that's...
Well, it better be, because that's all just a marketing stunt.
Exactly, yeah.
If they're charging you to go and be advertised to, like, what is the world coming to?
Well, that's a pretty smart strategy, actually.
Yeah, come give us money and we'll show you some ads.
Yeah. But then the thing is, like, if everyone has access to it, are people still going to be engaged with the content? Are they still going to be tweeting about it? Is it still going to be trending? Because
I'm sure, because not everyone's going to be sitting there watching it too. Like, a lot of people will be, interested, but not interested enough to spend however many hours it's going to be sitting and watching the thing.
I guess that's
they
true.
just want they want the tweets. They want to tell us who's going to play who, and let's hear some dates, and that's what they want to know. And then they'll be tweeting that and sharing that, and that'll be the conversation. What I think would be interesting is where all these conversations will be happening, because obviously people will be on Twitter, but also on Reddit and different places as well. And so it might be bigger in a way, because everyone has access to watch it, so maybe more people are talking, rather than the reverse of it, where you're like, I'm going to watch the Twitter feed of my one friend that is at Comic-Con right now, because I know he's got the inside scoop, and a few entertainment reporters and things like that.
Right.
But now a ton of people, like anybody, like my mom could go and live tweet it if she wanted. Of course, she probably won't, but here would be a good time to do a shout out to her Twitter account, but I don't even know what the handle is. I don't think she does either, though.
Because like normally when Comic-Con's going on, I'm like refreshing Twitter every 10 seconds to see what new update has just come out.
Yeah.
But if everyone has access to it, it might not be as big of a splash as they may have hoped.
Yeah. The other thing, though, with it being virtual, then the city's really missing out on a lot, because I've read that the economic impact from San Diego Comic-Con is $180 million.
Oh my God. That's insane. And all that's,
Which, obviously with coronavirus and lockdowns and everything, like the economy's struggling anyway. Like, a lot of places are, shut down. So economic activity is decreased, but then to also take that extra 180 million hit.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, that sucks. It's a big loss.
But it's also crazy just to think that that's a huge draw for a town. And I guess, do you know why San Diego? It seems so random to me.
Yeah, because it's because of its proximity to Los Angeles, so it's close to Hollywood.
Yeah,
it's easy to get the talent to come out, and then it's also a lot cheaper than LA. It has the huge convention center, and the capacity to hold a lot of people at less of a cost.
So really, but it's kind of random. Like it could have just as easily have been like Nevada or Arizona or something random, right?
Yeah, but I mean, there are factors that kind of made that a desirable location.
Yeah, because like New York seems like a pretty good place for it because of there's comic book culture is here already.
It's true.
So many comic book creators and headquarters and stuff here in New York City. And even, apparently the first official, whatever that means, Comic-Con was here.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's nice at least getting to go to Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con. It's kind of sucks, I guess, that it's for profit, because some random person I don't know is making a bunch of money off of this big event. But still, it's pretty good access. What I would feel bad for are like more the Middle America Comic-Cons, because they do happen. There are all these random Comic-Cons all over, and I bet they have a harder time drawing out the big names and things like that.
That's true. But I guess if you get like one big name to go out to like Cleveland, it's like a big deal in Cleveland.
And then I guess it's still nice to have something rather than nothing for the people that are there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess nobody's giving any special announcements, revealing anything at Cleveland.
That's true.
So it's not really the same experience, that you kind of get from a San Diego or New York or probably some international ones as well that are big.
Right. I feel like San Diego Comic-Con has more of a focus on like movies, and the New York Comic-Con has a little bit more focus on television and like comic books and just pop culture in general. Yeah.
I do know that when I was there, television was huge. I went to the Walking Dead panel. I mentioned the Firefly panel. And then those two TV shows where I saw the Lost actors, 666 Park Avenue and Person of Interest. And also I don't watch it, but Doctor Who was also big there.
Oh, okay.
I ran into a lot of those little Doctor Who robot things, whatever they're called. I don't know anything about it other than there's a telephone booth or something. But there's some sort of robot villain type thing that it was there. They had a lot of those around, and so you're right. There were a lot of television stuff. Like television was the big thing at New York Comic Con the time I went.
I think it's also like the time of the year. Like New York Comic Con is usually around October. Yeah. So that's kind of in the beginning of the TV season, and San Diego Comic Con's in the middle of the summer, which is big for movies. Yeah. And it's also kind of like the time of year that the movie season is kind of starting to wrap up. And so you're kind of getting excited about what's coming a year from now, or in the holiday season, 6 months to a year from now. And then, so it's a great time to start those ad campaigns.
Yeah. Well, apparently too, in Japan, they have Comiket, which is like a Comic-Con, but it's a lot more strictly focused on actual comic books, anime, manga, and all that, which I guess makes sense. The culture there is probably a lot bigger around comics, whereas here, I don't think. Obviously there's a big fan base for comic books, but it's just not as big of a thing. It seems a little more of a widespread kind of mainstream thing in Japan.
Yeah, that's true. And one interesting thing is that like all of these things started in like comic books and moved to other mediums, television, film, but it never, movies never really brought in an audience back to, to the original source material. Yeah. Like it doesn't matter how popular the Avengers are, it really doesn't drive comic book sales.
Like nobody's going going to the comic book stores and wanting to read up on the Avengers because they like the movies.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, yes, but
But
not.
at the same time, it's interesting. Like movies themselves aren't supporting. Like they obviously draw in the ticket sales and merchandise and all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But MovieCon, like MovieCon isn't a thing. It's weird that even though Comic-Con, everyone goes to it, and Comic-Con, the big focus there is movies. At the same time, like other than Star Wars, probably there's no movie franchise that could have conventions.
That's true.
And then, movies as itself, other than like, I guess you could say that you could say the Oscars or Sundance and these like film festivals are sort of like movie cons, but not like this is. You don't ever have like a collection of just general movie fans going to hear about movies and meet people from their favorite movies.
That's true.
I'm sure there probably is some kind of film con or movie con out there, but it's not on this scale as Comic-Con. But it is then ironic though, like you were saying, that these movies are a big draw mainstream, but they're not bringing people to comics. Yet they are bringing people who probably aren't comic book fans to Comic Cons. So it is weird. It's this kind of strange world where it's a convention that's literally based on comic books, but the majority of the material and draw, at least now, is based on movies.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. And it's weird because like for a movie to be successful, you need to sell like millions and millions of tickets. But for like a comic book to be successful, you need to sell like maybe 500,000 issues, and it would be a successful book.
If Comic-Con were to happen this year, if it hadn't been canceled, what would you have been most looking forward to?
Meeting the artists, meeting the writers, getting stuff signed. I always like that part of it.
Anyone in particular?
Maybe people who like I haven't met yet. J. Michael Straczynski was my favorite writer when I was reading. It'd be cool to meet him. He did Babylon 5. If you may have heard about that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. He would have been. I think he's like one of the few like comic book writers I haven't met. Because I met like Brian Michael Bendis. I met like Jeff Loeb, and it's funny because a lot of the comic book writers that were big like 20 years ago have moved over to the TV space.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jeff Loeb, Jeff Johns, Brian Michael Bendis, Mark Millar. All these guys have moved over to TV or writing for films and stuff.
Yeah.
J. Michael Straczynski actually wrote a draft of the first Thor movie.
Oh, that's cool. So this Comic-Con that's coming up in July, how are you planning on watching it? You're going to be sitting at home live tweeting?
Yeah, hopefully. If there's like interesting panels or like if Marvel shows up, I'll definitely tune in.
We could probably live tweet it from our podcast handle then.
Yeah, we should. We could have a whole show about it in just a month.
It's not long from now.
July 22nd, I think, is Comic-Con.
Yeah.
For that weekend.
So I guess, if people want to check out that, then, our Twitter is WUTR podcast, which is kind of hard to say. There should be a word for triple U, I guess. WUTR.
Yeah. Which is, we understood that reference.
Yeah, so anyone who's going to be joining Comic-Con should hit us up on Twitter, and let's live tweet it together and watch this thing, see how it goes. The first ever virtual Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. Making history, I guess. Next month, that's Comic-Con, and next week we'll have another episode. So tune in.